So let me ask you a question. Is it possible to be rich, happy, fit, and still unsuccessful? The world will say no, because you got money, you got muscles, you probably have a beautiful family, your life is thriving. I mean, what more can you ask for, right? But what if I told you that all those things are evidence of progress? It doesn't mean that you're in alignment with your purpose, because you can have all the right pieces on the outside and still be misaligned on the inside. Because real success is not about what you have on the outside. It's about how disciplined you are, about finding your purpose and living within that purpose. So that's why in this video, we're going to talk about how to use discipline so that you can align your life with real purpose and you can stop chasing success and start living it. So I want to read this crazy stat to you. This thing is wild if you haven't heard it already. So it says, over 900 million people around the world. That's 900 million. Over 900 million people around the world feel unfulfilled in life, even if they have enough money, fitness, and comfort. That's crazy. This is another one. It says in the US, 70% of workers say they aren't happy in their jobs. And globally, 85% of employees admit that they feel disengaged at work. Those are some heavy stats right there, right? Matter of fact, let me know in the comments, why do you think those stats are what they are? Why do you think so many people are unfulfilled? Why do you think so many people are unhappy? Because you got to think, we spend a large part of our lives working, right? Whether you're working for yourself or working for somebody else. We spend a large part of our lives working. So if we spend a great amount of time working, that means people are really unhappy with a large majority of their lives, right? So let me know in the comments, why do you think that stat is what it is? I'm gonna tell you what I think. But before you do, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because it does help the channel. But I feel that a large contributing factor to why those stats are what they are is because of people's definition of success. See, people believe success is money, having a nice physique, looking good, living a life of comfort, which is all cool, right? I believe that's about abundance. I'm all about abundance, right? I believe in getting rich and being wealthy. I believe in having a nice physique and looking good and feeling good. I believe in having freedom over your time, over your energy, over your decisions, and building meaningful relationships. I believe in all of that. But here's the truth. You can have all the things that the world calls success and still feel empty inside. You can still feel like you're behind. You can check all the boxes. You can have the money, the house, the car, the girl, the guy, whatever. And you can still miss the point. You can still miss what matters. Because look, real success is not about accumulating things. It's not about achieving things. It's not about accomplishing things. But it's about living in alignment, right? And we done got that confused somewhere along the way. Because we started considering achievement and accomplishment as success rather than being in alignment with your assignment, right? We've placed all of these external things on the pedestal, the money, the house, the car, place it on the pedestal, call it success, instead of doing what you were created to do, serving the people you were meant to serve, becoming the person you were meant to become, right? Growing mentally, physically, emotionally, relationally. All of that. We've been conditioned to chase money, chase status, chase stuff, and disregard who we're becoming in the process of accumulating those things. Because again, I don't think there's anything wrong with having those things. I think it's just when you place your identity in those things that you end up in trouble. Because once those things become threatened, once you start to lose those things, you start to lose yourself, right? So when we're placing our identity in those external things, the money, the house, the car, the status, what other people think about us, all of those things versus having our identity built in who we are as a person, right? That's when you start to lose. You do realize that you can accomplish things that you were never meant to accomplish, right? You do realize that you can achieve things that you were never meant to achieve, right? And if you're accomplishing something that you were never meant to accomplish, does that mean that you're successful? No, it doesn't. Let me put it to you like this. So a car's engine, right? can get hot enough that you can cook a full meal on it. I mean, a full meal. And let's say I got some juicy ribeyes in the fridge. So I got a perfectly working stove in the kitchen. I got a grill in the garage, charcoal and gas. And let's say I decide to take those steaks out. And I walk outside to my car, turn my car on, and put those steaks on the engine and start cooking them. Would you say I was successful? No, you wouldn't say I was successful. You'd probably look at me like I'm crazy. When I got a perfectly working stove in the house, I got a grill in the garage, and I bypass all of that and I go outside to the car and I start cooking. Just because you can accomplish something does not mean that you're successful. Success is pursuing your purpose and serving people within that purpose. That is what success is. So if you're not in alignment with the thing that you were created to do, you aren't successful. It's just like cooking food on a car's engine. Just because you can do it, just because you can accomplish it, doesn't mean that that's what you're supposed to do. It doesn't mean that you're going to be successful, because you're not. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter how good you look. It doesn't matter what you have accomplished, what you have achieved. If you are not in alignment with the thing that you were created to do, guess what? You're losing. The world might say you're winning, but guess what? You're always going to have that pit in your stomach. You're always going to have that pit in your chest. And you're always going to feel this disconnect between what you're doing and what you should be doing. Right? You're going to always have this pulling for something else. You're always going to look forward to Friday. You're always going to look forward for the weekend. You're always going to look forward for vacation, because you feel out of alignment with who you really are. If someone's working a job 20 years, right? They done worked their way up the seniority list. They started from the bottom, now they're here, right? They all way at number one. They done topped out in pay. And every day they're going to this job, but they hate this job. They are not successful. Now, they have accomplished working up the ladder. They've accomplished starting from the bottom, going all the way to the top, being the highest man on the totem pole. So if the company does shut down, they're the one that's going to be locking the doors, right? But they've accomplished that. But just because they accomplished that doesn't mean that they're successful, because they're not doing the thing that they were created to do. People do it in corporate all the time, and there's nothing wrong with working a corporate job. You work your way up the corporate ladder, right? You spend 10, 15, 20 years working in corporate. You work your way up to a VP, to an executive, to whatever, right? CEO, president, whatever you want to call it. But if you feel every single day that you want to start your own business and do your own thing, then guess what? That's likely something that is pulling you towards your purpose. And if you're staying here, it doesn't mean you're successful. And you may be staying here for a sense of comfort. You may be staying just because the benefits pay what the benefits pay well. You might get great benefits, health benefits, vacations, all of that. Who knows? Right? But just because you get all these things and you're accomplishing all these things and people are praising you does not mean that you are successful. You are only successful when you're pursuing purpose and serving people within that purpose. You know, I really didn't start understanding this concept until I was about 25-ish, like mid-20s, I'll say. I'll just say mid-20s. Because before, I always thought success was a destination. I thought it was, once you had a certain lifestyle, once you had certain things, then you could either say you made it or you can say that you were on your way. Right? That's what I believe. And it wasn't a conscious thing. It was a very subtle belief that I had. I remember when I bought my first BMW, right? I bought a BMW X5 in my early 20s. And this thing was clean too. It was a space gray, had the tan interior, had the tints on it. Everything was laid out, had everything I could ask for, right? I couldn't even add any more things to it if I wanted to. But this thing was nice. And I was hyped when I got it too. It was one of those things where, you know how you get hyped and you pull up to the barbecue and you lock the door like 5 times so people see you pull up in the BM. It was that, yeah. But anyway, after about a month of having that car, right? Guess what? That car was just another car. At first it was cool. But then after about a month, I started eating in the car. I stopped putting gas in it every week. I stopped washing it every week. I started doing things with the car that I normally wouldn't do when I got it. I wasn't cleaning it as often. All of that. I'm leaving trash everywhere. It just became another car. And guess what? My life didn't change because I had the car. I wasn't more fulfilled. I didn't have more peace, more joy. Nobody treated me differently. My situation didn't change. My life was exactly the same. In that experience, it made me question. At least that was one of the experiences that made me question, like, how do you live a meaningful life? And what I discovered is pursuing purpose and serving people within that purpose. So once you discover your purpose and then you serve people within that purpose, you automatically get this sense of fulfillment. You automatically get this sense of having a meaning for why you're living, right? Having a meaning for why you're here. But here's the thing. You can't pursue purpose without discipline, though. And many people throw around that word discipline because it sounds cool, right? It sounds cool to say, like, oh, yeah, I'm disciplined. It's a buzzword. But very few people really know what it means. And very few people really understand it, right? Because most people view discipline as doing something over and over, whether you feel like it or whether you don't. Doing the thing that you hate to get a result that you just kind of want so you can please people who don't care in the first place. But guess what? That's not discipline. And we can't minimize discipline to a series of actions or behaviors, right? Because it's so much more than that. Discipline is the process of becoming who you need to become so you can do the things you need to do consistently. That's what it is. I'm going to say it again. It's the process of becoming who you need to become so you can do the things you need to do consistently, right? And the most important part of that is the process of becoming who you need to become. Because it's our being, meaning who we are, that always comes before the behavior. The behavior is always going to be secondary to what we believe about ourselves. So that means we will always act equal to what we believe about ourselves. So we can't minimize discipline to a behavior, to a series of actions. Because discipline is not about the actions, it's about our becoming. It's about who we're becoming. It's about an identity transformation. And if we break that down even further, right? And we look at the origin of the word discipline, right? And we track the etymology of the word discipline. What you'll notice is that it comes from the Latin root discere, right? Which means to learn. Not to do, but to learn. And then over time, that word evolved into the Latin root discipulus, which means one who learns. It means a student, right? And the word disciple in the Bible actually comes from the word discipulus, right? So it means a follower. It means a learner. It means a studier. So we went from a verb form with discere, right, to just general learning to now you being the learner, right? You being the person that's learning, the noun form. And then over time, that eventually evolves into disciplina, which means instruction, which means teaching. It comes from the concept of studenthood. So discipline was never rooted in performance. It was never rooted in behavior. It was always rooted in a pursuit of learning. And even if you wanted to take a step further and you study the word learn, you'll see that learn originally meant to follow a path of transformation. So when I say learning, I'm not just talking about reading a book. I'm not talking about taking notes. I'm not talking about half listening to a teacher, then going home and forgetting everything they're talking about, right? Listening to YouTube videos while you're driving home or from work, or listen to YouTube videos while you're on the road and then forgetting half of what you heard in like 5-10 minutes. No, that's not what I'm talking about. When I say learning, I'm talking about a transformation process. Because when you're learning new skills, you're growing in your maturity, you're growing in your mentality, your emotional state, right? You're adapting to the changes that's happening. You're adapting to who you're becoming. You're going through the ups and downs. That's what it means to learn, because that's what becoming is. And if that's what becoming is, that's what discipline is. Because again, discipline is a process of becoming who you need to become so you can do the things you need to do consistently. So it's not about grinding harder, suffering better, working harder, right? It's not about pushing through. But discipline is about transforming your identity so that the actions that you are doing become a part of you, and they just become a natural part of your expression. You aren't necessarily trying to do anything at this point. You're just acting out of alignment with who you are, because we will always act equal to who we believe ourselves to be. So that's discipline. So now let's talk about, how do we find and discover our purpose, right? So first we got to understand what purpose is. So purpose is not a title. It's not a job. It's not something it's not a destination, but purpose is a pursuit, right? I believe it's a pursuit in your highest potential in 3 areas: your character, your health, and your wealth. Your character, meaning that's who you are in private. That is who you are when no one else is looking. That's what your real integrity is, right? So your character, your health, that's your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, anything regarding your health. You're chasing your highest potential in your character, your health, and lastly, your wealth. Now, wealth is not money. Many people think that wealth is money. Now, money is a part of wealth, but wealth is not money in by itself. Now, everybody says wealth and they're always relating it to money. But real wealth is your capacity to contribute, right? That's what real wealth is. Your capacity to contribute emotionally, financially, spiritually, mentally, right? Relationally. And that's what wealth is. It's your ability to add value in every single room that you walk into. It's your ability to add value in every relationship that you're in every endeavor that you go after. That's what real wealth is. It's your capacity to contribute. So purpose is your pursuit of your highest potential in those 3 areas: your character, your health, and your wealth. So how do we discover our purpose? So we discover our purpose. It's really simple, honestly, when you think about it. But simple doesn't always mean easy, right? But it is very simple. And you discover your purpose. Number 1, you find your talents. So these are the things that you are naturally good at. These are the things that just come second nature to you. You really don't have to think about doing it. You just good, right? And everybody's talents is different. These are your gifts. These are your things that people compliment you on. And you just chalk it up to like, oh, yeah, that's no big deal. Why? Because it just comes so natural to you, right? So your talents, your skills, these are things that you can develop. These are things that you can learn. These are things that you can be trained to do and that you can get better in, right? These are the things that help accompany your talents, your skills, right? And then the last is your passions. These are things that you would do for free. These are things that you just enjoy. If nobody else was looking, if you didn't get any applause, if you didn't get an award, if you didn't get rewarded for it, these are things that you would just do by yourself if nobody else knew about it. So where your talents, passions, and skills line up, where those 3 things intersect, that's where you find your purpose. Again, like I said, it's simple, but it's not easy. Because take, for instance, your talents are things that just come second nature to you. It's things that come natural. And sometimes you can't even, like, because it's second nature, like, you don't even realize that you're good at it. Sometimes you need other people to point it out to you. Say, you know what? You're really good at this thing. And you're like, really? Like, I thought everybody was good at that. It's like, no, like, you're really good. It's like, I'm not even trying, honestly. Like, for people that are really good at communication, people that are really good with money, people that are really good with finding solutions for businesses or finding problems to build a business, leading people, right? People that are really good at sports. Like, you have a special talent for this thing. So think about it. Talent. I said it's not easy because when you think about it, talent, it's like almost like everybody, like we have a nose, right? And we know we have a nose, but if you try to look at your nose, sometimes you can't see it unless you're looking in the mirror, unless somebody tells you, right? So sometimes those things can be hard to see. So those are the new little nuances that can make discovering and finding your purpose a challenge. Another thing that can make it a challenge is identifying how these 3 things work together. Because you can have one talent that's here, another skill that's way up here, and then you can have a passion that's way over there. And you're like, how do I bring all of these 3 together to walk in this purpose? And then that's when our creativity comes in, right? So Discovering your purpose is simple, but it's not always easy. But you want to use your resources, right? Use other people around you to help identify the things that you're good at. And once you identify those things, the things that you're good at, the skills that you can develop, and the passions that you have, bring all of those together and identify what you can create. And when you identify what you can create with those, then that's when you're walking in your purpose. But there's also one more layer. The last layer is, who are you going to serve with this purpose? Because our purpose isn't just about us, right? Having all these gifts and talents and skills and passions, and you just hoarding them and just holding them for yourself. It serves nobody but yourself. And you're still going to feel miserable, because if you understand your purpose and you don't get it out of you, then you're always going to have this tension within yourself, because our purpose is not meant to stay with us. It's meant to serve someone else. Your purpose is where your gift meets a need for someone else. It is how we help solve the world's problems. Because look, if everybody is living in purpose, the world is a much better place. Because if I'm doing what I was created to do, right? Number one, I'm having fun and I'm enjoying it because I'm operating in my natural talents. I have my skills and I'm enjoying it because I have a passion for it. And then I'm also serving other people, so I feel like I have a place. And if I'm doing that and then you're doing that, so I'm solving your problem, you're solving my problem, then everybody is winning, right? So when you discover your purpose and you're walking in your purpose, you're helping make a world, you're helping to make the world a better place, right? So if you want to discover your purpose, number one, identify what gifts you have, what talents you have. Then you want to identify what skills you can develop, what things you can build on and get better in. What passions do you have? What things would you do for free if no one else was looking, if no one else was paying you, if no one else was clapping for you? What things would you do if you were just by yourself? And lastly, who needs the thing that you have within you? Because at the end of the day, our purpose is not for us, it's for other people. It's to help make the world a better place. It's to help solve problems for the world. Because the other people doing that, they're solving problems for us. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you share this with somebody you feel might be able to benefit from this content. And I will catch you on the next video.